Excellent. Okay. So we're going to get started. My name is Sarah Post, and I'm with Cornerstones of Science. And we have James Shields with us here with Southern Maine Astronomers. And we're going to be talking about some animal constellations today. We know some folks are going to be participating in the CSLP 2021 theme of Tails and Tales. But this presentation isn't necessarily just for that. We wanted to focus on some animal constellations in preparation for that theme, but also for your summer viewing and fall viewing. So you'll see some of those constellations, and we'll be talking to you about when they're available to see them. I don't know if everybody is on mute. I hear a little bit of feedback, but if folks could mute themselves, that would be great. Excellent. It looks like Kelly's coming back in. I can add her. Oh, you got it? Okay.
I got it.
Excellent. There you go. Okay. Hi, Kelly. Hopefully the audio is a little bit better. All right, so some of you may know Cornerstones through maybe having a library telescope. We've worked with libraries in Maine very closely for many, many years. Also, we have in Maine some science trunks that get circulated that in the past that have gotten circulated out. But we also work with libraries all across the United States with the Library Telescope program. We just finished the NASA at My Library project for the past 5 years. And we worked with a number of state library agencies. So check out our Cornerstones of Science.org website and find out more about what we do. And we work very closely with Southern Maine Astronomers. James Shields is with us today with Southern Maine Astronomers. And they work with Cornerstones to help modify those great library telescopes that you might have. But also we work together on different events such as this webinar, and we've done some star parties together over the years. So it's a good collaboration we have together. We're going to talk about 10. Oops, let me see if I can get my screen to go here. There we go. We're going to talk about 10 animal constellations today. Most of them are in the northern sky, and we're going to be using the names that really Ptolemy in the 2nd century kind of gave them the Latin names, but I'm going to be speaking a lot about the different tales and legends that surround these constellations by all types of different cultures. So not just the Greek mythology, but there is a lot of Greek mythology with these constellations, but trying to bring in other cultures as well. I'm going to talk about those tales and legends for about 20 minutes, and then James is going to do a stellarium tour, which is a neat way to view the night sky right here on your computer. And he's going to give us a tour of these 10 constellations and how you can find them. I mean, really knowing what's in the night sky and then being able to find them can just be really, really powerful. And so we hope that you guys can learn a little bit from this. And I know some of you guys are going to have some star parties soon and some different events. So take what you can from this and dig a little deeper, because I can only there's so many great tales and legends and stories. Wow, it was really fun researching all of these, just these 10 animal constellations. And so I'm going to just be dabbling a little bit into these stories. But we hope that you will kind of dig a little deeper too. And we're going to provide a few resources and tools at the end as well. So I'm going to start with the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. This is the Great Bear and the Little Bear. You may know this one. This is a very large constellation. Again, an ancient constellation. There's some great stories in Greek mythology that Callisto and her son were turned into a bear because of, Zeus. Zeus fell in love with Callisto, and Hera did not like that idea, and so she turned Callisto into a bear, and as well as her son, and then Zeus flung them out into the skies. So again, there's quite a few Greek mythology stories about Zeus flinging different animals and others into the sky to either protect them more or have them be around for long periods of time. So interesting Greek mythology. This constellation, Ursa Major, really goes back quite a long ways, possibly even to the Paleolithic bear cult. They had strong connections between humans and bears. They really saw this constellation as, on 4 legs, and then over a certain time, James can tell us a little bit more later, but either over a night or over seasons, the bear goes up on 2 legs. And so they really felt, many cultures felt a connection between bears and humans because of this transition from on all 4s to on 2 legs. There's a great story about the Micmac and the Iroquois tribes share a story about the big bear being hunted and being killed, and a little grim story, but what I think is very neat is the blood after the bear was killed, is that what they saw is the blood would turn the leaves red in the fall. And so you can see how a lot of these stories are associated with the earth and what's happening in the weather and what's happening on the land, that really help them understand and help them have, understand their stories and share their stories over time. And the Arabic culture sees this Ursa Major as more of a funerary procession, and the Big Dipper is in here, and they see this as some coffins as well. So again, lots of neat stories to kind of dig into a little bit deeper as you look into these myths and legends. And James here in a few minutes is going to give us some more information on these as well. The second one I'm going to dig into here is Draco, and known as the dragon. The Greek myth is that Ladon was the dragon guarding a golden apple tree that was a gift from Zeus to Hera. So he was guarding this apple tree from the Hesperids, and the Romans saw this Draco as a titan who was really, they were warring I love that word, warring with the gods. And so Draco was more of a titan, kind of protecting things. In Arabic astronomy, there's a very interesting story about the mother camels, and they saw this constellation as some mother camels protecting a baby camel from hyenas, and some other Arabic astronomy sees more serpents, and talks about them being different serpents. So you can see Ursa Minor here is connected close by. So again, James is going to talk to us a little bit how some of these actual constellations, you can move from one to the other. You're finding your way around the night sky and moving one from one to the other. And in fact, some of these have real connections with their stories as well. So I'm not going into those too much because it gets quite complex and but very interesting at the same time. So I hope you'll kind of look at some of those for yourself. The next one is this Leo, and I'm not sure if you guys, I'm having a little trouble seeing. Okay, hold on. Whoops. Let me go back. I went all the way through them. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Gonna move these pictures over. Here we go. Leo, the lion. Let's see here. Yes. Known really as, in Greek mythology, the Nemean lion, which is Nemea is a place, and part of it was the beast killed by Hercules during his first 12 labors, if you know that story. And what's interesting is I remember my background is in anthropology, archaeology, so these stories are kind of right up my alley. But Hercules could not kill the lion. He really had a tough time and couldn't kill it with arrows, and so he did have to trap the lion and eventually choke it to death. But if you've ever seen pictures of Hercules, he ends up taking the pelt and wears the pelt almost like as a cape, almost a cloak, making him, thinking that the cloak protected him and made him actually appear more fearsome. So I don't know if you've ever seen images of that, but I'm remembering those from studying anthropology and archaeology, the Greek myths. Many early cultures saw this constellation. You can see it's pretty distinct here with the lion. Of course, you're seeing here with some of the overlays of the lion, but many cultures saw this lion, and the Regulus. They're kind of at the heart of the lion, is exactly what that means in Arabic, the heart of the lion. So that's been a known constellation for many years. So I'm going to switch to Cygnus now. This is a great one. Cygnus is the swan, and it really lays across the Milky Way. I really enjoyed learning more about this constellation, the myths, a lot of different ones. There's a lot of folks in Greek mythology who identify as a swan, who were changed into a swan: Zeus, Orpheus, and Ovid's Metamorphosis. There are many people named Cygnus, and they are all transformed into swans. And it really is a known. You can see the long part is actually kind of the neck and the going down, and the shorter part, the very end of the shorter part, that's the tail. And what I really loved is I found a ancient it's the ancient mound hill cultures in the Americas, and the Milky Way was the path of the souls, and the Cygnus was considered a judge or mediator, as the souls would want to pass and go on to their journey to the beyond. The Cygnus had to be this kind of gatekeeper or judge, for the souls needed to pass a test in order for them to move on. And if they did pass that test, they were allowed to make their final journey out of the sky dome through a portal believed to be in the star Deneb, which is the brightest star in Cygnus, right there at the end of that tail. So that's a pretty interesting story. And then in some Chinese astronomy, James, I'm not sure if you'll talk any more about this, but I didn't find a whole lot. But there's this constellation and another one that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes are part of the Black Tortoise of the North. And this one and others are depicted as a turtle and a serpent intertwined. So not sure if I see that, but maybe if there's some other constellations coming into it. They did show some different ones on some of the Chinese astronomy pieces that I was looking at, but I thought that was quite interesting. Another bird is Aquila, the eagle. And the eagle really represents for Greek and Roman mythology as the carrier of their thunderbolts. And let me just check. I got like 6, 7, 8 pages of notes. I had fun researching this. Here we go. And also kind of known as one that carried Ganymede to Mount Olympus, if you know that story. Also well into Hinduism, that this constellation was seen more as half eagle, half human deity. Oh boy. All right, we're going to go to a smaller constellation now, the Delphinius, known as the Dolphin. And in Greek mythology, it was believed to represent the dolphin that helped Poseidon locate the mermaid who he had wished to marry. And as a reward, Poseidon placed the dolphin among the stars. So that's one of the 2 main mythologies around that. The other is that the dolphin actually saved the life of Arion, a musician from the island of Lesbos. And so Apollo placed the dolphin in the sky next to Lyra, which represented Arion's lyra. So I didn't find a whole lot of other stories about Delphinius, other than, again, here's that it was also associated with the Black Tortoise of the North in Chinese astronomy. So, but pretty distinct. A lot of people can really see that looks like a dolphin. All right, a couple more. We have Scorpio or Scorpius. Another great story around the America's mound building culture, that the soul needed to make this journey to the stars after death, and that the journey could not be taken at the time when the constellation Scorpio, the journey could only be taken at the time when the constellation Scorpio was not visible, because they believed that Scorpius was the ruler of the underworld, and if it was up, then it would snatch the soul. And so they needed to make sure that Scorpio was not up at the time. And so that was typically more in the winter, when Scorpius is below the horizon. There's another interesting story, Greek myth, of that Scorpius was sent to kill Orion. Orion was very proud that he had said something that he could kill any animal on Earth. And so Scorpius was sent to kill Orion, and Zeus sent them both up in the sky. He felt they were just too prideful, I guess. That's what I read. The Navajo sees this Scorpius constellation as rabbit tracks, and I did find a kind of more of a youth-focused Native American activity that was really neat around kind of looking at this as rabbit tracks too. So you might want to check that out. All right, just a few more, and then we're going to take a tour of the night sky with James. So we have Pisces. It's a pair of fishes on a line. You see the line is connected and there's two fishes on the ends. A couple of stories of Greek mythology of Aphrodite and Eros fleeing the monster Typhon and leaping into the Euphrates River and transforming into fishes. A great German lore, also considering them magic fishes, and another kind of story of pridefulness or greed, where this German wife was quite greedy and wanted more, bigger house and more things, and ended up losing it all because she was just too greedy. So these magical fishes rescinded all of the great things that she had wanted because of her greed. And then the Chinese legend, which isn't all that interesting in some of the stories, but I can see they considered it a fenced enclosure to keep pigs, keep a group of pigs enclosed. And so I can kind of see, with the line, the fishing line there, might be an enclosure, and using some of the other constellations that are out of the picture here. Some of the other cultures include other constellations to make a different picture, if you will. So Taurus, you see Taurus here is, you really just see it's really considered the kind of the front half of the bull. It's actually one of the oldest constellations, and really relating to agriculture and the vernal equinox. There's quite a bit of information, different stories. This one has been known for a very, very long time. We know that ancient cultures depicted bulls in cave paintings, and again, kind of connected with the Pleiades, the seven sisters, and the vernal equinox. Also called the bull of heaven. I don't know, James, if you've heard that before, but that was one of the terms I saw a lot, bull of heaven. And then in the epic of Gilgamesh, goddess Ishtar sent Taurus to kill Gilgamesh for spurring her advances. So, and then his hind end, again, James, I don't know if you've heard the story, his hind end was thrown up into the night sky, and that was considered Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. So I'll have to dig into some more of these stories to see
I have not heard that.
Yeah, they get very interesting. But yeah, a ton of information on stories on Taurus. But I also thought that the Druids piece was that they considered it an important object of worship, and they have an actual festival around this. But I think it's because it's considered one of the first constellations of a year for many cultures. There's a lot of things around spring, and again with the agriculture and the rebirth, of things for the spring. But I think it's quite interesting that it's really focused on just the front half of the bull. The last one I'm going to talk about is Canis Major, and considered the greater dog, following Orion. Orion is just kind of up and out of the way of this picture here. And the Greek myth is that Canis Major was one of the fastest, or the fastest dog, and there was a fox that was the fastest fox. And so they were chasing each other, and it was just never ending, I guess, for Zeus, and he got upset, and he turned Canis Major and the fox into stone and flung them into the sky. So I love all these, they're flinging them into the sky. And you can see there that Cirrus is the bright star there, and that's a good way to help you kind of remember that, because typically the Cirrus is called the dog star, although that's not necessarily the meaning of Cirrus. It means kind of blazing, which is bright, right? It's considered the brightest, the brightest star, I think.
Yep.
And Native Americans actually in this image saw two dogs really guarding the path to the land of the souls. Yeah, some cultures see, different things, but a lot of the cultures do have over time continue with, whether it's Taurus or Cygnus, really see the same images and use those images in the stories over time for long periods of time. So I'm going to stop there, and we're going to go find the constellations with James. He's going to share his screen and give us a tour with a program called Stellarium that there's a free version online, right, James? But you're using a version on your computer.
Yes, I'm using a version on my computer, and it's free on your computer. So I mean, you can get it on a tablet, on your phone. It costs a couple dollars. It's free to download for a PC, and there's a web version also. So it's a very handy tool.
Nice. It looks good. It looks good on the screen.
Okay, so I will hide Constellations so we don't.
Is this a test already?
There's a test now.
Oh, no.
So can everybody hear me good? This sound good?
Yes.
Okay. So the constellations, at least except for the last couple, can all be found in the night sky this summer and into the early fall, and which makes it handy for use. And I'm going to show you how to find those constellations, and also some objects that might be interested to look at through a small telescope like a library telescope. So hope everybody here can see the Big Dipper. It's probably the most commonly known constellation in the sky. And the nice thing about the Big Dipper is up year round. It's always up. It might be down near the horizon, but it's always up. And from here, we can use the different stars to jump from star to star, which was astronomers call star hopping. So let me just start that. So the Big Dipper, you have the handle here and you have the ladle. And these two end stars, as many people know, if you follow those stars, it will take you to the North Star. So you jump from, try to get rid of that text, you jump from Big Dipper to the North Star, and the North Star is the tail of the Little Dipper. So this is Ursa Major, and this is Ursa Minor. Well, these are asterisms, so they're parts of Ursa Major and the part of Ursa Minor. So to draw the lines there, you can see we have the Bear and we have Ursa Minor, and the North Star is this one right here. And the North Star is actually several stars. If you have a really strong telescope, you can see two of the stars, but they know there's at least 3 stars as part of the North Star. So it's not really fair to call it just the North Star, since it should be plural. The Ursa Major, you can see we have the Bear's head out here, but we also have these. What I like to look at when I look at Ursa Major is not just the Big Dipper, but these pairs of stars. Many have the leg coming out to this star. These are the feet of the Bear, these stars here. And another story that I've heard is that from North Africa, the cultures called these the footprints of a gazelle leaping. So it's a leap from one set of footsteps to another. And so that's another story in there. And one interesting thing to look at in Ursa Major, there's a couple galaxies in here, but they're hard to see with the small scope. But with the naked eye, you can see that this star here, if your eyes are strong enough, is actually 2 stars. It's actually Mizar and Alcor. And you can easily split them. You can split them with the telescope. At library telescope, you can see there's 2 stars there as opposed to 1. And since the kids have better vision than I do, I can't see the 2 stars anymore. They can frequently make out the 2 stars. And but if you go even further into it with the library telescope, you can see Mizar actually has another star opening. So there's 3 stars there. That it just makes it a nice jump off point if you have something easy to find with the telescope. So going from Ursa Major, you go to the Ursa Minor, which is here. But if you go the opposite direction, instead of going this way, go this way, you're going to come over to Leo. And of course, Leo is, let me bring it up a little bit. So again, instead of going towards the North Star, go the opposite direction, it's going to take you to Leo. And Leo is the lion, of course. It has the star Regulus. That star, hang on, oops, I skipped the constellation. I had to go. I'll go back to some in a second. That star is actually 4 stars. You can't really see it with the small telescope. There are some galaxies in here, but it's not with the small telescope. There's not a lot to see, but you can always try to see the galaxies in here in this area with the small scope. So back to between the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper is Draco. So you can see that Draco winds around between the 2 of them. They're very faint stars. I actually never saw them until I was up in the North Woods, and I could clearly see the serpent snaking between the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper and chomping at the heels of Hercules. So another object to look at is, instead of using this one to go to the North Star, use the other side of the ladle and follow that other set across the sky. And let me turn off the constellations. So turn off that and follow it across the sky until you find a couple of really bright stars. It will lead you right into, so let me back out a little bit. So here's the Big Dipper. So if you follow the other side of the ladle, this is the Big Dipper, across the sky, it will take you right into the middle of what's called the Summer Triangle. And those stars, one of those stars, you have Vega, which is really bright, and you have this other bright star, that's Deneb, which is, as was mentioned before, the Swan. Now the Swan is right on the Milky Way, so it's a feast with a small telescope, because no matter where you point that small telescope in this area, you're going to find, hundreds of background stars. It's just beautiful to look at. And there's one star in particular that is ideal for a small telescope, and that is Albirio. This is how you spell it, Albirio. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it is a stunning set of stars. I don't think they have an image, but it's not a great image. It's blue and gold, and frequently, because the colors of Boy Scouts, which I'm involved with, is blue and gold. It's called the Scout stars, and they are so close. We used to think that they orbited each other, but since the Gaia missions showed that they really don't orbit each other, but they were so stunning because behind this blue and gold star are all these white stars from the Milky Way. It's just a stunning image, easy to see with the small scope, and It's so stunning that when I showed it to people, like at one outing that I was at, this one kid kept coming back, wanted to see it over and over again. So this swan has also, and I'm not sure if you mentioned this, Sarah, known as a sparrow instead of a swan, that bridges the Milky Way. So two lovers can come to meet each other, one of them being Altar, the other is part of the Summer Triangle, and the other one being Vega. The star Deneb in Cygnus is referenced quite often in books by Isaac Asimov, a novel by Dan Simmons, Hyperion, and even in several episodes of Star Trek. So I try to tie these things into books when I can, things people read. A Vega, of course, the other Summer Triangle, which is not an animal. Lyra is not an animal; it's a harp. Is another star in the Summer Triangle. Vega has, of course, is referenced in that great book Contact, that was made into a movie with Jodie Foster. That's the star where the signal's coming from. And actually, that star is about the same distance away as how many years ago the movie was. So light coming from there is about the same as was the light coming from there is as old as the movie is old. So it's about 20 light years away, I think. So the other part of the Summer Triangle is Altar, and that's the keel of the eagle. So once you get the Summer Triangle, you have these three constellations all quickly connected. You have Altar, which is well, first of all, it's the Altar is the currency and used in the book Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So great book. There's also in numerous episodes of Doctor Who. And again, this is in just scanning this area, you'll see numerous things to look at. It's the stars is along the Milky Way, so the stars are quite numerous. But near the head of Altar is the Dolphin. All right, Dolphin's a very faint constellation, but once you find Altar, by the way, is over the equator. So I find it interesting that you could be looking at something that's relatively low in the sky, even when it's at its highest point. This is just rising, but even at its highest point, it's low in the sky, but somebody at the equator is going to be looking straight up at Altar. So that's about straight up at the equator right now. So it gives you a perspective of the size of the Earth that you're looking at it with such an angle, at least if you are in Maine. So so back to the Dolphin. The Dolphin has this one star right at its head. It's the Gamma star. Stars are ranked inside a constellation by how bright they are, Alpha being the brightest, and then using the rest of the geek alphabet to rank them. So this is the Gamma star. This I use a book. When I started astronomy, I used a book called Turn Left at Orion, and this book recommends Albirio, which is the star in Cygnus. It's just stunning. But this is one of the finest pairs of stars in the sky. The colors are gold and lime. And again, you have thousands of stars behind it that are just white. So they really stand out. It's worthwhile to look at through a small scope. So now to Scorpio. Scorpio is always to the south. And there it is to the south. This is this is not this Stellarian background that it has. You can set your own background. This is not the background. The landscape is not my landscape because I can never see the south because I have pine trees. But this is Scorpio, and Antares is a red star. It stands out, very colorful. It's a heart of Scorpio, and it's gigantic. I mean, the sun compared to Antares is so small. Antares would encompass the orbit of Mars if it was centered where the sun was. But here you have a few objects that you could look at, even though it's low in the sky. One of the beautiful clusters is Ptolemy's cluster right here. This let's see what they have. So a cluster, what a cluster is so this is their image of the cluster, and it's a group of stars that were just relatively newly born from dust. So they started burning like Orion, the dust, Orion's nebula, you can see all the dust and there's stars in it. These stars have pushed away the dust and they're slowly moving apart. And they're just really bright and they're beautiful. And that's easy to find near the hook of Scorpio if you don't have a pine tree in the way. So that's it happens. Up here you have you have M4. All these objects were named by Messier. So Messier was not the most creative. He called everything Messier 4 and all numbers. I wish he gave them more interesting names so they could appeal to kids more. M4 is a globular cluster, and a globular cluster is thought to be the remains of a dwarf galaxy that was swallowed by our galaxy. And they have really old stars, and they're all grouped together. And many of these things, it could be 100,000 stars in here, and many of these have black holes that they think they have black holes in the center, and they're very old. They think they came from galaxies that were swallowed by our galaxy. So we then have Pisces was the other one, and we can see rising over here on this side is Pisces. And the easiest way to find Pisces is to look for the square of Pegasus. It's a great square in the sky. Let's raise this up a little bit. Hopefully the sun won't come up. So we're bringing Pisces in and the sun is coming up. So here's Pisces. Whoops. Oh, sorry. Got a little carried away there. Okay. I lost control of my sky controls. So here's Pisces, and you have the ribbons tying together. They're one of the most interesting things about Pisces, I think, is that it's not really about Pisces. It's that what just passed out of Pisces in the last few years was the planet Uranus. And Uranus is now in Aries, and Uranus has, since it's been discovered around the Civil War, has only orbited the sun once. So it almost travels just like a star, almost stays in the same position. And you could see it. It makes a blue-green image against the sky. It's probably right about here, but it moves so slow that by the time it's going to be probably a decade before it gets past Aries. So. So in the winter sky, so I need to change my dates here. So this stellarium is handy because you can go forward in time and look at different dates, and yeah, it's probably good. Let's do 10/28. So you can change the time and you can see where things are in the future. And so now let's see. It was mentioned. So it was mentioned that the Big Dipper touches down in the fall, and so we're in October, and you can see that the Big Dipper is right here, and it has its feet on the ground. So the story of the blood from the back of the bear coloring the leaves red coincides when that Big Dipper hits the ground. So I was looking for Taurus the bull, and Taurus the bull is farther forward. Pisces. Where is Taurus the bull? Oh, let me advance it a little bit. There it is. Taurus is coming up. And Taurus, we have Aldebaran, the brightest star, which is another massive red star. And around Aldebaran is the Pleiades, which is a cluster of stars. And it is one of the closest open clusters of stars, young stars that are born. And with a small scope, they just shine. But the main thing to look at in Taurus is off to the side. It's actually in Taurus, but it's off to the side is the Pleiades. You can see the Pleiades are just stunning. And when you look through them with a telescope or binoculars, they just shine. They are just beautiful. You won't see any dust like in this image, but you'll see this is bright stars. And that again is an open cluster, stars that have been newly born. So they're hot and they're burning hot, and they're slowly moving apart. So, another speaking of the Big Dipper before it, all the Big Dipper stars are moving roughly in the same direction. So they think that all the Big Dipper stars are also born together, similar to the way the Pleiades were. But over the years, they've moved apart. So, and then we have Canis Major. And the way you find Canis Major is you find Orion, which we need to bring Orion up. There's Orion. And Canis Major is going to be, if you follow, so if you find Taurus, if you find Orion, which everybody can find, most everybody can find in the winter sky, look at the belt. All right. And the belt points one direction to Taurus, and the other direction, if you follow the belt, it points to Cirrus in Canis Major. So, and it's, it's serious. There's some people think of the Milky Way as something that you see in the summer, and in the summer when we're looking at the night sky, we're facing the center of the galaxy, so we see more stars in the summer when we look at the Milky Way. But in the winter, we're looking out from the galaxy, and Sirius is located and Monosaurus is located right along that line of the Milky Way. So you can see through looking through Sirius, you can see quite a number of stars, and beautiful things to look at. So, and this is my Harry Potter reference, my one Harry Potter reference. Sirius Black was a Harry Potter character. It also was in the Foundation series by Asimov and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They were mentioned in all of those. So
That was great, James.
Any questions?
I love that. I know a couple of folks had to go. We're recording this so we can send it off to you guys as well. We are hitting the top of the hour. Anybody have any questions that are on at the moment? James, if you want to stop sharing in just a second, I want to show just one slide of some resources. If we can get to them here, I'm going to share my screen and get to the end. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to have to go to this. Anyways, we'll go to the end here. These are extra slides that, in case our Stellarium show didn't work, that James put together the slideshow.
Yeah, this gives you a nice guide to the night sky.
Yeah. So I think we're going to put the slide deck on the Cornerstones of Science website for you guys to use as a resource. But we also wanted to talk a little bit about some tools and books and websites that some of us use, and where I found some of the tales. So again, here's the Stellarium website. You can use it online, but you can also download it. And the version that James was using was the software version, right?
Yeah, that's right. PC version.
Yeah. Skymaps.com is a great way to download maps each month. A great resource you can give out to your library patrons each month, especially those folks that check out the library telescope. Help them know what's going to be up in the night sky. Find the Constellations by H.A. Ray. Also, there's one called Find the Stars, which is just a classic. Man, I love that book. A lot of people love that book as kind of an intro to learning how to view the night sky. And it's kind of funny how in that book they kind of test you, right? You see the sky with no lines and no pictures. You just see the night sky objects, and then he helps draw them in. So I think that's kind of an important piece to get to learn how to do, right, James?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some younger books, Zoo in the Sky and Starry Skies. These are two that we actually provide as part of a binocular kit that Cornerstones has. They're just fun, and they don't go really into any of the myths or legends, but just a good way you can see the stars, see the objects, and helps people just view the night sky, find those animal objects, find those objects. And there's the book that James mentioned, Turn Left at Orion. A lot of people also love that book. Really great go-to. One that I missed on here, I think it's I got it right here in my bag, something like Starry Skies 365. Do I have it here? Maybe I don't have it. Anyways, I'll see if I can put it on our website, but that's a good one too. And then just a few sites that I used for some of the legends that we talked about here today. One's inthesky.org is just a quick guide, and then another one, Native Sky Watchers, has a lot of resources for Native American stories and legends. You want to dig into that. So I'm going to stop sharing. And if any of you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, thank you for your time.
This was awesome.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I
Oh.
really, really liked it. And I loved how you had other cultures in there,
Yeah.
especially the Arab and Chinese and even our local Mi'kmaq folks.
Great. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing trying to bring all the different cultures in. I think it's so important.
So you're located in Maine?
I
then?
am, yeah.
Yeah. Where in Maine?
I'm in Kennebunk.
Oh, Kennebunk. Okay. Oh.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, great. So we'll be in touch with more. We have another webinar coming up. Dust Off the Library Telescope is in June. So if you're interested in, you know, a lot of libraries are opening up and thinking about circulating the library telescope again and want some training. And I already received an email from someone who's like, help us remember how to use the Easy Finder, which is the scope. So
Are you from Cornerstones of Science?
yes, I'm from
Sarah?
Cornerstones of Science, and James is with Southern Maine Astronomers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And feel free to reach out to us if you need help
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah, I would love to, you know, when you were talking about how beautiful some of those colors are and stuff, I was like, I want to see all this. But
Well,
it's stunning, and it's really stunning.
Street lights everywhere.
Oh yeah. Well, Kelly, who was just on this webinar, mentioned that they're going to have a star party July 14th in Cumberland. If you that I'm inviting you, but
Yeah,
it's a big
party.
I would highly recommend that star party. It's a tour of the night sky with the laser pointer.
It's a laser tour. So, but you can bring your binoculars.
Oh, this is the one that Cumberland's doing?
Yes, yeah, July 14th. It's a Wednesday night at like 9. So fingers crossed.
The presenter is excellent, and he does a good job. And it's you know, doing it in stellarium like I did is not as interesting as doing it under the night sky.
Sure.
So,
right. And I've gone in those little domes.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
The library has done that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forget what the guy's name is.
This is outside with the laser pointer, and he's a great presenter, and,
cool.
and he's my idol. This young guy who's
Is it
younger than
Ed?
me, actually.
You said Ed, it's Ed, right? Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's great.
Well, I know when I one of my many trips across the country, my second time across the country was by myself, and I was somewhere in the plains or west of the Rockies, and I looked out and I could see Scorpio. It was the first time I could see the whole thing.
I know.
Oh,
like, oh, that's Scorpio.
I had the same experience. I never saw Scorpio in full. I only could see the tip of it in Maine.
Right.
And until I went to Utah, to Dinosaur Park, to Dark Skies and Dinosaur Park. It stood out like the Big Dipper. It was so easy to find.
Wow.
So.
Wow. That's great.
And I worked on the north rim of the Grand Canyon a summer, and so the north rim, you're up higher than the horizon.
Okay.
The south rim is lower than the north rim, so you could see the stars going down below the horizon.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording.
I really appreciate.
Thank you.
Really appreciated this. You cleared up my entire day.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. So we're going to post this on our Cornerstones website, and we have a YouTube page where we have some more trainings and things, and I'll be sending it out. There was 18 people signed up for this webinar, so we'll get that sent out to them. But
yeah, hopefully they'll watch the recordings.
Yeah. No, I think, you know, just looking at those different stories and legends was really amazing, and then connecting it to actually how to find them in the night sky.
And I hate to say it, but I need to see the little thing in the background that shows the bear, because I'm still trying to see the whole bear.
Yeah.
See the bear, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. So.
Baby steps is what the astronomers tell me. Focus on one or two, and then you move to the next one.
And it's not so much it's not, so astronomers don't care if it's a bear or not, you know, they use it to find things. They
Right.
used to find location. So when I work with kids and stuff, I let them make up whatever they want to call it. You know,
Right,
like
right.
booties is an ice cream cone. I mean, why not? You know,
Yeah.
you can
Right.
relate to it.
Right, I'm
So
gonna see those more than I'm gonna see bears.
yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you, James. And are you? Is it Bernie? Is that
I am Bernie, yeah.
excellent?
yeah.
Excellent. So, well, wonderful. We'll be in touch. And thanks for
Okay.
sharing.
Well, thank you. I
All
just
right.
wanted to let you know how much I liked it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You
You too.
too. Bye.
Bye.